Kevin Sinclair here with Irish Illustrated at irishillustrated.com. Here to talk about Texas within Notre Dame's recruiting efforts. You know, over the last 20 years, Notre Dame has only signed one top 100 recruit out of Texas, and that was tight end Brock Wright back in 2017. But currently, Notre Dame carries two top 100 commits, actually both ranked in the top 75 out of Texas, and right now pursuing several additional prospects, including another four-star receiver and a couple of other cornerbacks out of the Texas area. Really interesting to see Notre Dame attack Texas as heavily as it is this cycle. I wanted to have a look at the demographics around that and see the significance of it. Let's dive in.
So we'll start by looking at the map here. We're looking at Texas, of course, and there's three major areas: Dallas, and then there's Austin, and of course Houston. And we'll start with looking at Notre Dame commit Peyton Bowen, and a top 75 prospect, much needed safety that Notre Dame needs. Now he has top end speed, very good at taking away the deep pass, and you see that top end speed not just in those big plays he makes on defense, but as you can see in returning kicks on offense as well. He's just a blur out there. Really impressive athlete, and he comes from just northwest of Dallas in Denton, playing at Guyer, which is just a loaded program. And then sort of the crown jewel of the offensive class right now is Braylon James, recently committed to Notre Dame. He's the big play receiver Notre Dame needs. Very, very good at crossing routes and the short and intermediate stuff. But he can stretch a defense. 4.47 speed recently at an event down in Texas. And he can stretch the field. He can beat a defense deep. And that's certainly what Notre Dame needs, filling that field role moving forward. And of course, tapping into Austin, Texas, not an area Notre Dame has hit in a very long time. So an important win there from a demographic standpoint. And then Jaden Greathouse, another highly regarded receiver out of Texas. Here he is. Very good possession receiver on slants, crossing routes, comebacks, hitches, bubble screens, things of that nature, but also very physical, as you can see. He's not 6'4", but he could be a very good boundary receiver just due to his strength and grit. But as you can see here, he can also make big plays. He's matched up with a four-star cornerback on that play, and he can hurt you deep for big chunk plays. And of course, he's also coming out of the Austin area, just like Braylon James. And again, an area Notre Dame hasn't really tapped into in a very long time. And now Micah Bell, this is a cornerback prospect offered recently. And we were talking about the speed of Peyton Bowen. Well, this guy, Micah Bell, is even more considerable with his speed. You can see that here. He's clocked a 10.41 in the 100-meter, which is outstanding speed, truly elite speed, and it shows up on defense, and he can run with anybody. So impressive prospect there. Micah Bell out of Houston. Now that's an area Notre Dame hasn't tapped into since 2005, 2006. So really interesting to watch that. And then Calvin Simpson-Hunt. This is a Texas Tech commit, but he's picked up a lot of offers recently. Texas, one of them, Notre Dame being the other. And this is another guy who just has all the tools to be a shutdown corner on the college level. He's, on body, can run stride for stride with seemingly any receiver in his tough division. And he's also physical. You can see a bit of that here. Simpson-Hunt, he is on the rise, a four-star recruit out of Texas. And he's located up just south of Dallas, not far from where Peyton Bowen resides, of course. Outstanding recruits.
So as we know, Notre Dame ascending in its recruiting efforts, bringing in, a higher end of talent recently, and to continue that and to bolster that and to make that more of a consistent thing, Notre Dame needs to recruit a couple of states with more success. Florida and Texas, those two states loaded with 4- and 5-star talent every year. Notre Dame really sort of trailed off there over the last decade, but in this cycle, guys like Keon Keeley, Cedric Irvin, Peyton Bowen, and of course Braylon James out of Texas and Florida. If they can continue adding top talent from those states, that'll go a long way in bolstering Notre Dame recruiting. But that's it for me. Been interesting to dive into Texas here. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kevin Sinclair.